The deadliest 2 million years in human history. Picture this. You're crouched behind a rock at dusk, and 12 feet away stands something that shouldn't exist, a bear the size of a delivery van, standing upright sniffing the air. This isn't fiction. This was Tuesday for your ancestors, roughly 50,000 years ago. And here's the part that should terrify you. That bear wasn't even the most dangerous thing hunting humans back then. Not even close. For almost the entire span of human existence, we weren't at the top of the food chain. We were on the menu, and when you look at what was actually out there trying to kill us, the real mystery isn't how ancient humans died. It's how any of them survived long enough to become us. Let's talk about the lineup. The short-faced bear stood over 11 feet tall, weighed close to a ton, and unlike modern bears that snack on berries and salmon, it ate meat exclusively and could outrun a racehorse over short distances. Cave lions roamed in prides bigger and bolder than anything in Africa today. Packs of dire wolves numbered in the dozens, and cave hyenas hunted at night in coordinated groups with a bite force strong enough to splinter bone and get at the marrow, something almost no other predator bothers to do. None of these animals hunted humans by accident. They hunted us because we were frankly an easy meal. We have flat teeth, soft nails, no claws, and skin that tears like paper. A chimpanzee, an animal a third our size, is roughly 3 times stronger than a grown man, and even chimps get picked off by leopards. We were slower, weaker, blinder in the dark, and our infants couldn't walk for a full year after birth, which made them a walking dinner bell for anything nearby. By any reasonable measure of survival biology, our species should have been an evolutionary footnote. A skull found in South Africa in the 1920s makes the point brutally clear. A young child's skull with 2 puncture marks through the eye sockets, spaced exactly like the fangs of a big cat. That child wasn't an unlucky exception. That child was food. So how is it that every single one of those predators is extinct today, and we're the ones telling the story? The answer isn't one big breakthrough. It's a stack of small advantages that compounded over hundreds of thousands of years until the math flipped in our favor. The first was fire. Evidence from a cave in South Africa shows humans were controlling fire roughly 1 million years ago. Scorched stone, layers of ash, structured hearths. And fire didn't just keep people warm. It rewrote the rules of nighttime. A burning fire creates an invisible perimeter that most predators simply won't cross. Something hardwired so deep that lions today still avoid open flame. For the first time, humans could stay active after dark instead of freezing in place until sunrise. That gave every tribe 2, 3, sometimes 4 extra hours a day. Hours to make tools, to plan, to teach the next generation. Fire also let us cook food, which meant more usable calories from every meal, which eventually meant enough spare energy to grow a much bigger, much hungrier brain. The second advantage was our terrible, wonderful stamina. We are, hands down, the worst sprinters in the animal kingdom. A big cat can hit highway speed in a few strides. We can't, but no predator on the savannah could do what we could do next, keep moving for hours. It's called persistence hunting. You don't chase an animal, you simply never let it stop. You trail it at an easy jog, hour after hour. And because we sweat and they mostly can't, eventually the animal overheats and collapses while we're still walking. It sounds unimpressive until you realize it's a hunting method 0 other predators on Earth can replicate. The third advantage was pattern recognition. Human brains are obsessive about noticing details other animals ignore. A bent blade of grass, a faint print in dry soil, the timing of when a particular predator drinks water. Early humans didn't just hunt prey, they studied the predators hunting them, learned their routines, and passed that knowledge down. Every generation started a little smarter than the last. There's a fourth advantage that rarely gets mentioned, and it's easy to overlook because it doesn't look impressive. Rocks. Not thrown rocks, shaped ones. Long before spears, early humans were striking one stone against another to knock off sharp flakes, creating the first cutting edges nature had never produced on its own. Those simple flake tools meant you could butcher a carcass fast, strip meat off bone in minutes instead of hours, and get back to safety before a bigger predator smelled the kill. Over hundreds of thousands of years, that crude flake became a hand axe, then a scraper, then a point. Each generation's tool's a little sharper, a little more specialized than the last. It's easy to dismiss a chipped rock as primitive. It wasn't. It was the first time in the history of life on Earth that an animal manufactured its own weapon instead of waiting for evolution to grow one. But the advantage that actually mattered most wasn't physical at all. It was each other. Archaeologists in the country of Georgia uncovered a skeleton nearly 2 million years old belonging to someone who had lost every tooth years before death. No predator survives that. You can't chew, you can't process raw food, you starve within weeks, unless somebody else is chewing your food for you or cooking it soft enough to swallow. Someone did. In a cave in Iraq, researchers found a Neanderthal who'd survived a shattered arm, blindness in one eye, and crippling arthritis, living into his 40s despite being unable to hunt or fight. His group carried him anyway. That's the trait no predator on that entire list ever developed. Wolves cooperate on instinct. Humans cooperated on purpose. Dividing roles, driving animals toward cliffs, cutting off escape routes, coordinating with language instead of instinct alone, and then we started throwing things. Wooden spears recovered in Germany, dated back roughly 400,000 years, were balanced and aerodynamic enough to be thrown accurately from 30 feet away, meaning a small group of humans with spears and a plan could bring down an animal 10 times their size without ever getting close enough to be bitten. Around 50,000 years ago, humans began spreading out of Africa into every corner of the globe, and wherever we went, the giant predators started vanishing. Saber-toothed cats, cave lions, short-faced bears, the whole cast of Ice Age megafauna, all extinct within a few thousand years of our arrival on each continent. Scientists still debate how much of that was us versus a shifting climate, but the pattern repeats on every continent we touched, which is hard to write off as coincidence. Here's the real takeaway. Every predator on that original list had one specialized advantage: speed, strength, size, night vision. Evolution handed humans something rarer: the ability to adapt faster than any single trait could. Too slow to outrun a bear? Throw rocks at it from a distance? Too weak to outbite a hyena? Surround it as a group, blind in the dark like a cave lion? Build fire and turn night into day. Don't have claws or fangs of your own? Make some out of stone. For roughly 2 million years, we were the hunted, hiding in trees, losing children to predators we couldn't fight, grieving losses we couldn't prevent. But we had one tool nothing else on that food chain had: the ability to learn from a mistake once and make sure it never happened to the tribe again. Multiply that across 100,000 generations, and it turns out that's more than enough to outlast every apex predator that ever hunted us. Every single one of them is gone now, and somehow, impossibly, we're still here telling their story instead of the other way around.